we've seen Robbi's perspective. Obviously, she's been out at the public eye, I would say the whole time, more or less. Hustler concluded their investigation found no wrongdoing, but we didn't really get kind of your side of what happened. And there was a couple questions here specifically that I want to ask you that I think people on the show would feel like if I didn't, that this wasn't, I need to ask these questions essentially. But the first here is, so what are your final thoughts? Do you think that Robbi cheated you in this hand or not?
I don't think anyone really cares about that, do they?
I think they might. I think they might, Garrett. I think that there are at least a couple guys in the chat.
I'm just messing around. Yeah, I mean, obviously, like I haven't, spoken of this. Again, no matter what I say, like there's going to just be a ton of backlash, to answering this question. But yeah, it's obviously time to do that. But yeah, I mean, in essence, I stand completely by the statement I made on 2+2. I think it's extremely likely that I was cheated in that poker hand. Simple as that. And I think everything that came out in the days and weeks thereafter, all of the many sort of coincidences, they've only sort of further solidified that belief.
Okay, that's a fair stance. I assumed that would be your answer. You did post a lot of different aspects of the hands on 2+2, as to why you thought that way. And during it, I also can say, we were talking back and forth, and you were trying to, look at all the evidence and weigh things out and try to understand exactly what happened. But so
let me add one thing to that I think I'd like to say too. It's not a big thing, but again, it's just like, since I already have a platform to speak on these things, I think it's been curious to watch Robbi go back on streams. Her play, it's just like night and day. It's like a completely different person in these streams. Like for anyone who's, watched any of these hands that she's played on stream now, she plays just like any other, like, poor playing recreational player. Very weak, very tight, very scared. The exact opposite of someone who just like, grabs their balls and goes, I'm calling you down with Jack 4 on 10-10, 9, whatever, like it's just like, to me, it's just ridiculous, she got a lot of balls, just like she always did. She went out, knowing, like what really went down, and spoke over and over and over again. She has a lot of sort of self-belief in what she's trying to do here, including, going back on stream. I think another thing like I want to say about this is I'm well aware, I got a lot of people on sort of Team Robbi, if we want to call it, in this situation. They may be even more likely to tune in than the next person, just so they can hear me on screen and yell and scream and whatever. And I just want to say, like, irrelevant of like how they may feel about me, or sort of make a judgment about who I am as a person or whatever based on this opinion. It's all love from me, like on the other end. Like I really do understand and respect people that feel very differently, about this. I think probably the most outspoken critic time and time again throughout this was Daniel Negreanu against me. And Doug, every time I listen to him, I go, what you're saying is reasonable, man. Like I hear you, and so I really do, see the other side. I think that's obviously why this controversy is so explosive, is because, you have two very different camps that really kind of feel very strongly about the topic. It almost became an issue like politics or something, where people dug their teeth in, they put their stick into the ground, and then they're like, this is my team and everyone else is other, and it's just, yeah, it's been rough, in that way, because, man, usually I live my life trying to be in the middle, trying to, like kind of point out that these people who live on the extremes politically or otherwise, like they're not getting it. Like you need to be able to hear the other side. But in this situation, like obviously, like, my opinion is one that's gonna upset some people.
It actually is very much like politics, especially because of just how goddamn long it went on for. Like the first couple of days, you're like, all right, yes and no. And then there were some people in the middle. But then by week 4, it was still just everywhere all the time. And there were updates, and it was a saga, and some people were doing YouTube videos about it. I don't know who those people were at all, personally.
Yeah.
But there was all these updates, right? And so people had to, if you were neutral, you eventually ended up in one camp or the other.